Hello, welcome to the Freemasons podcast with your hosts, Right Worshipful Brother George Mudry.
Worshipful Brother Joe.
And Worshipful Brother Ken.
We're here today after a little bit of a break because we had Father's Day and what hell else we have to do before then?
Other stuff.
Other shit.
I was in Ohio.
We had a bunch of things going on. But
End of the Masonic spring season stuff that we were doing.
yeah.
And events and whatnot.
So,
I think you were building a ramp one of those days, no?
yes, you
was,
were doing something.
Yeah. Got a couple projects going on for some brothers.
But anyway, we're back, and today we're going to be talking about episode 247, The Ancient Charges, as written by most worshipful Brother Benjamin Franklin. So they're a little bit different than the charges we have today, would you not say?
A little bit.
Somewhat.
Somewhat different. But before we do that, let's go through some stuff. 5-star review. OpenX 360. One of the best 5-star review. One of my all-time favorite podcasts. The podcast is a perfect balance of comedy and information. The podcast is not one of those that makes you feel as if you're sitting in a lecture. It is like sitting around with old friends enjoying a good conversation. Some of our conversations are good. Some
Some are men's and men's.
Some of them dabble on the edge. As a widow, it has been really helpful to listen to the podcast on my commute and at home. Hearing friends having fun really helps. So, a widow, like a widow's son, or like an actual widow?
A Masonic widow or just a widow?
The information I have gotten on the show has led me to pursue a Masonic path that I hope I will be able to call you brothers in the near future. If I ever am in your area, drinks are on me. Well, we won't say no to that.
Can't be a widow if he's going to be a brother someday, so interesting.
Sorry to hear that. It kind of sucks.
Widower, maybe?
Maybe.
Anyway, 5-star review. Ken, lead this
Thank
one.
you, sir. Brothers, does everybody have something? Okay.
See.
All right, brothers. Right hand to arms.
Two arms.
Two arms.
Ready?
Ready.
Aim.
Aim.
Fire. Good fire. Fire all. Together, brothers.
Vivat, vivat, vivat.
Funny how
That's it.
Sunday mornings have changed the canon of
Yes.
choice.
Yeah, I know.
We go Yeti. These early morning podcasts.
You know, I mean,
Full of coffee and angst. Existential dread.
Oh, big word, Kenny.
yeah, it was fun. It's fun, coming up here having a cannon, full of scotch or bourbon or whatever the hell we choose to. But Sunday morning's probably not the time nor place.
No.
And two,
It's the Lord's Day.
well, the other thing is
This is the time.
I don't want to be drinking that much. Kind of, yeah,
I save it for at home when I'm not going anywhere.
exactly.
Yes.
So,
Responsibility.
yeah, we matured.
Well,
We matured. I'm mature. Mature. No? Tyson?
man, it's a foul-mouthed immature.
Tyson? No? Mike
Nah.
Tyson?
Nope.
Ah, all right. Anyway, so what do you say? We just get into this?
Very well.
Or do you got something, Ken?
I've got Instagram.
All right, go ahead.
Oh,
Sarah.
Instagram.
So over on Instagram, we have Freddie Mendoza, Joshua Black, Veli Matti Pazanin, somebody who writes in the Cyrillic alphabet, can't help you there, Adan, Fab Rice, Matthias Eriksson, Anis Aftab, House of
I'm
Masonic.
sorry, say that with us.
Wait, what?
Anis Aftab.
Oh, thank you. That's not what I thought he said at first.
Digger 453, Scott Conklin, Cody Imhoff, It's Leah, Anthony Monteverde, MD Illustration, Jake Holt, Goblin King. Oh, wait, I think I did these guys already. Tracy Zernak. Hey, Tracy.
Oh, hey, Tracy.
Hey.
Clark Rudy, Ray Romero, Daniel Rispins, Alex Baker, Fraser Valley Mini Trucks, and Aaron Farmer. Thank you, brothers and friends.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
All right,
And
so
friends.
I pulled this from, and anybody can look this up if you want to see the ancient charges that were written, digitalcommons.unl.edu. We're not going to go through the whole damn thing because this thing is a relatively large document. But we're going to do just the charges of a Freemason, extracted from the ancient records of lodges beyond the sea and those of England, Scotland, and Ireland, for the use of lodges in London to be read at the making of a new brethren, or when the master shall order it. So that's when they used to do it. Ken's bringing it up right now on the computer. Yeah, you got to download it.
Oh, look at this! Is like a straight up historical document here
Yes,
with
it is.
citations and so forth.
And we're just going to read through these, and these are the ancient charges, and I believe that there are 6 of them. Number 1, of God and religion. 2, of the civil magistrate, supreme and subordinate. Now, that's going to be what we now consider the local government, or your peacefully conform to the government, and blah, blah,
Whoever's
blah, blah.
writing the laws.
Right. 3, of lodges. 4, of masters, wardens, fellows, and apprentices. So they weren't called fellow craft, they were just called fellows. 5, of the management of the craft and working. And 6, of behavior. In the lodge, while constituted, after lodge is over, and the brethren not gone. So, this doesn't actually talk about your conduct after lodge is over and you're not with your brethren. Ours do, right? I remember. I remember something along those lines.
Charge number 5 is at home and in the neighborhood. In the ancient charges.
Right. Wait, what? Where do you see that?
That's what I'm saying here. Of behavior. So there's subsections of number 5.
That's 6.
6, sorry.
Roman numerals.
Hey, man, they're hard.
Kind of senator.
Because you've got in the lodge while constituted is 1. And you've got after the lodge is over and the brethren not gone.
Not gone. That's what I'm talking
2.
about. Our
Right.
charges, it talks about your conduct outside of lodge when brothers are gone, like in public.
Yep. And that's number 3 and 4 here.
Oh, shit. I didn't see it
there's
over there.
more.
Okay.
It's on the next page,
All right,
George.
all right. Jesus. 3, when brethren meet without strangers, but not in lodge, in presence of strangers and masons, at home and in the neighborhood, towards a strange brother. Okay. So we're going to go through this one. I mean, I guess they are kind of similar then, huh?
Yeah, but the language is definitely different.
Yeah.
Within the charges.
Bet you I read this one perfectly, even though it's Old English.
Doubt it.
Not going to happen.
Concerning God and religion. Number 1, a man is obliged by his tenure to obey the moral law, and if he rightly understands the art, he will never be stupid. He will never be a stupid atheist, nor irreligious libertine. But though in ancient times Masons were charged in every country to be of religion of that country or nation, whatever it was, yet 'tis now thought more expedient only to oblige them to these fuckers back in the day didn't believe in periods, did they? They didn't believe in periods at all. It's just one continuous run-on goddamn sentence.
If you read it in like a standard cadence, it makes, it flows pretty well.
Why don't you do it? You do it then, Kenny. Read it in Old English.
But though in ancient times Masons were charged in every country to be of the religion of that country or nation, whatever it was, yet 'tis now thought more expedient only to oblige them to that religion in which all men agree, leaving their particular opinions to themselves, that is, to be good men and true, or men of honor and honesty, by whatever denominations or persuasions they may be distinguished, whereby Masonry becomes the center of union. Excuse me. In the means of conciliating true friendship among persons that must else have remained as at a perpetual distance. Yeah, so okay, I screwed up a little bit there too. But that's pretty similar to what we believe now.
Pretty similar. Well, what do we want to break this down? Let's just break this down in layman's terms. Joe, can you break this down in what is like layman's terms so you don't have all this extra hoopla on there?
Yeah, don't be a stupid atheist.
Yeah.
1.
Don't be a religious libertine,
Yep.
which if I ever start a punk band, that's what it's going to be called.
100%,
Be religious
yeah.
libertines. I love that. And it's like, hey, we're ancient times Masons were responsible for, they're charged to their country and blah, 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 but we're going to go over, above and beyond all that and just charge you to the belief in a supreme being, making the nations and whatever, or however it's worded in there, whatsoever, kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, it's kind of
You're
basically
going to
just
a higher
saying that.
power.
The way I read it was kind of just saying that even though nations will charge its people to be of one religion, we're not going to charge you to be one religion, and we're basically going to tell you to keep your opinions to yourself about religion and just believe in a higher power.
Yep. And that all of the moral lessons within the degrees speak basically to all of those commonalities between all of the major world's religions.
Right.
To be good men and true.
Yep.
Or, what is it? Or men of honor, honesty, and by whatever denominations or persuasions they may be distinguished, which is very similar to Brother Josephus's rule number 1.
Coincidentally, though.
What's that rule?
Don't be an asshole.
Or a libertine.
Or a
Or an irreligious libertine.
2 of the civil magistrate supreme insubordinate. Go ahead, Kenny. Do it in your voice, though.
Oh, God. A Mason is a peaceable subject to the civil powers, wherever he resides or works, and is never to be concerned in plots and conspiracies against the peace and welfare of the nation, nor to behave himself undutiful to inferior magistrates, for as Masonry hath always been injured by war, bloodshed, and confusion, so ancient kings and princes have been disposed to encourage the craftsmen, because of their peaceableness and loyalty, whereby they practically answered the cavils of their adversaries and promoted the honor of the fraternity, whoever flourished in times of peace. So that if a brother should be a rebel against the state, he is not to be countenanced in his rebellion. However, he may be pitied as an unhappy man. And if convicted of no other crime, though the loyal brotherhood must and ought to disown his rebellion and give no umbrage or ground of political jealousy to the government for the time being, they cannot expel him from the lodge, and his relation to it remains indefeasible.
All right, so
Tough one.
basically what they're saying is to be a peaceable citizen, to conform to the laws,
What's it saying, ours? To humbly submit.
humbly submit,
like
peaceably submit.
Peaceably submit.
Now, I mean, this one has always been a tough one because, I mean, we had the Boston Tea Party, we had the American Revolution. These guys were brothers. I mean, Washington, 13 of his generals, I think it was 13, were Masons. They were they were called the rebels. They were the open rebellion. And they are told, basically what this is saying is they can't be expelled from the lodge, right? Isn't that what it said?
Yeah, and that's actually, I'm glad that we read this because I always kind of wondered about this. Remember, we always noodled around the fact that, like, well, the Boston Tea Party happened, right? So in our modern charges basically say you're to be a peaceable citizen.
Right.
You're to, accord to the laws of the land of the jurisdiction in which you reside or whatever. And that's it. Here it basically says, yeah, you got to do that. But if you are to rebel against the state for whatever reason,
You're still a Mason.
Yeah, and the fraternity's not going to have anything to say about that, and we'll say, yeah, you shouldn't do that, but you can't be expelled from the lodge.
However, we
That's
do have
interesting.
that was. I mean, I think that was also broken up into the obligation of the Master Mason degree, and we don't need to get into that. But it basically says that there's 2 things that are left to a Mason's choosing.
Right.
Right.
So they
That's
kind of
true, I guess.
they kind of threw that into the MM thing obligation.
But it's pretty verbosely spelled out here that, like,
Yeah.
you can't be expelled.
Right.
But it's not good. You shouldn't do it. You can't be expelled for it. So
And
I'm
if
wondering,
he does it, he's just unhappy.
yeah, he's an unhappy man. He should be pitied.
So
Pity, we pity George.
Go stay in the
pity
harbor.
me. What the fuck?
Right. You're an unhappy man.
I'm on rebel against the government. Should I work for him?
Now you do.
Not always.
See, and now that raises the question of modern day. If, let's say, we take the Boston Tea Party and we supplant that into modern day, in our modern obligations, does that leave the Grand, being that it's not written in our charges, does that leave the Grand Lodge the power to expel you, in your opinion?
I think if you were to rebel against the government nowadays, yeah. I mean, I think
they would.
They would be empowered to do that.
I think they'd run as far away from you as they possibly
Oh,
can.
yeah.
But I'm imagining that there's going to be
And
some.
even back then, though, like clearly it says here that they would disavow the fact, they wouldn't countenance or encourage the fact that you're rebelling. But they're not
True,
going to
but you'd also get brothers of like mind outside that are part of the lodge, but outside in political realms that would also back you. So you'd have a schism, if you will. I said it in my best Sean Connery version. You have a schism of brothers that would follow that person. 3 of lodges. Ken?
When did you put the wig on? I just
now.
Okay. You say I literally just noticed.
I don't know if. Let me look at myself in the. Oh, yeah, that's bad. Pull this down a little bit. Okay. It's over the headphones.
For those listening, not watching, Ken is wearing
It's a powdered wig.
powdered wig.
It's a little. I could use a comb right now. A lodge is a place where Masons assemble and work. Hence, that assembly or duly organized society of Masons is called a lodge, and every brother ought to belong to one and is subject to its bylaws and the general regulations. It is either particular or general, and will be best understood by attending it, and by the regulations of the general or grand lodge hereunto annexed. In ancient times, no master or fellow could be absent from it, especially when warned to appear at it. So when you're summoned, for example.
No.
Without incurring a severe censure, until it appeared to the master and wardens that pure necessity hindered him. The persons admitted members of the lodge must be good and true men, free-born and of mature and discreet age. No bondsmen, no women, no immoral or scandalous men, but of good report.
Joe's out.
Yeah, you wouldn't have been
Or am I
accepted back then.
Am I considered scandalous?
You're scandalous. Immoral and scandalous.
Immoral scandalous.
I am of a mature age.
That is verifiably
So
correct.
I have a question on this one.
Oh.
And I'm asking this because I don't know. What does censure mean? You hear this all the time. Again, if you're watching anything on the news, it's this guy's getting censured, that guy's getting censured. What does it mean? Is that like basically to tell you to shut the fuck up formally?
Censure is different than censor. So censure is like you're being admonished.
It's like a strongly worded
Reprimand.
reprimand, right?
Yeah.
It's a strongly worded ass chewing. Okay. But
It's like what you do on Yelp these days if you don't like the.
Yeah. Exactly.
okay,
That's
so
censure.
it's not. They're not telling you basically. They're not putting a gag order on you in a sense. Where
No.
You're not allowed. Okay.
No, it's saying, hey, look, we're formally acknowledging that you did something wrong and you're being reprimanded, and
Okay.
like it's more of a. It's like a formal charge without actually having any kind of a legal weight to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Maybe they brought you up on Masonic charges
Yeah.
or something if you didn't show up to lodge when you were supposed to.
Gotcha. Okay. I didn't know what that meant because I got confused between censor and censure.
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 It's French.
All right.
Ooh. Like en route.
Like en route.
Number 4 of masters, wardens, fellows, and apprentices. Second, please read.
Yep. All preferment among Masons is grounded upon real worth and personal merit only. That so the lords may be well served, the brethren not put to shame, nor the royal craft despised. Therefore, no master or warden is chosen by seniority, but for his merit. Whoa, what happened?
I've been screaming this shit for years, and everybody got a progressive line.
Here we go. It is impossible to describe these things in writing, and every brother must attend in his place and learn them in a way peculiar to his fraternity. Only candidates may know that no master should take an apprentice unless he has sufficient employment for him. This is starting to sound like some
Qui-Gon Jinn.
rule of
Yeah, I
thumb
was just going to
nonsense
say
here,
that. It's
right?
like
Yeah.
Star Wars shit right here.
No master
train the
can
boy
take
myself.
an apprentice. Yeah. Unless he has sufficient employment for him, and unless he be a perfect youth, having no maim or defect in his body, that may render him incapable of learning the art of serving his master's lord and of being made brother. And then a fellow craft in due time, even after he has served such a term of years as the custom of the country directs.
Years, huh? Holy shit.
I guess so, yeah. And that he should be descended of honest parents, that so, when otherwise qualified, he may arrive to the honor of being the warden, and then the master of the lodge, the grand warden, and at length the grand master of all lodges, according to his merit.
All right, can we pause this real quick?
That's the end of the paragraph.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Can you pause it real quick? Because there's more to it, but
Yeah.
I like that. that when you take somebody into the craft, he is in your charge. He's like under you. He's like your Padawan learner.
Yes.
I freaking like that. And I think we should get back to that. Because what we do right now is we have EMR systems and here, fill out this petition. And then it's like, here, go. You got to attend. You got to do this. Like that person is tied in a sense to that master. And I like that idea because then, I mean, we wouldn't be letting just shitbags come through the door because they'd be under the direct supervision of the guy who brought them in.
Yeah, not everybody knows somebody when they're joining Freemasonry, right? It's a common misconception that you have to know somebody to become a Mason. You might know nobody in that lodge, right?
True.
At the time that you're petitioning. So to have a mentor assigned to you and have somebody that's...
somebody's got to step
sit
up.
next to you.
Yeah.
And that should be, I mean, shit, you want to give a job to past masters? Here you go.
Probably should be whoever signs as your recommender.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So then it gives a job. Even if the recommender isn't his... let's say the recommender's got another job. Let's say he's the senior deacon or senior warden or something like that. He can't be sitting next to this guy in lodge and kind of talking him through and telling him, all right, here's what's going on. But this is a job for past masters. The recommender assigned, the past master gets assigned to a new guy, and he's in his freaking charge. And his whole job is to rather than the master getting up at the end of the entered apprentice degree and doing this whole 30-minute spiel about, well, when you knock once, you sit down. When you knock twice, you stand up. Like you know what I mean? Rather than the master doing that shit, you have somebody who's like, stand up. And here's why we stand up, because that two knocks. Talking to him on the side and coaching him. And kind of holding his hand throughout the whole damn process. I'm good with it. I like it. I think we should go back to it.
Agreed.
Continue. Unless somebody else got something else.
Nope, I'm good.
But they're also talking about like officers too, right? So they're saying, look, if you're voted into a position, it should not be about seniority.
Right.
It should be
Not just 'cause you've been
purely
here
about merit.
Here.
Totally agree with that. No brother can be a warden until he has passed the part of a fellow craft, nor a master until he has acted as a warden, nor grand warden until he has been master of a lodge, nor grand master unless he has been a fellow craft before his election. Kind of similar to what we do today, right? We have rules about you can't sit as a warden pro tem unless you were a warden or a past master.
You can't be a know-it-all EA and jump to a grand master.
Correct.
Although they'll try.
Yeah. Let's see here. Where did I leave off? I should have double-clicked.
Who is also to be
who is also to be nobly born, or a gentleman of the best fashion, or some eminent scholar, or some curious architect, or other artist descended from honest parents, and who is of singular great merit in the opinion of the lodges. And for the better, the easier and the more honorable discharge of his office, the Grand Master has a power to choose his own deputy Grand Master, who must be then, or must have been formerly, the master of a particular lodge, and has the privilege of acting whatever the Grand Master, his principal, should act, unless she said, principal be present, or interpose his authority by a letter. So that's interesting. Our Grand Master must appoint the deputy. No, that's a voted position.
No, it's a voted,
voted position.
Oh,
So,
that's what happened.
I don't know. When he said a man of good fashion, I just pictured Joe walking out of lodge just with ZZ Top. Women go crazy about a sharp-dressed man.
Yeah.
Goddamn right. I make this shit look good,
And you have
if
to
I
be,
must say so.
You got one little paragraph, Ken.
That's interesting, though, but it says to have been a fellow craft before his election, who is also to be nobly born, or a gentleman of the best fashion, or a scholar, or an architect, or an artist. So there were like pretty rigid rules about
Who can join?
ascending. Well, no, about who can ascend through the progressive line or
Yeah.
the line, whatever, to leadership of a lodge.
That's discrimination.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they could do that back then.
Well, I mean, you go artist descended of honest parents. That kind of like
that's where we
pretty
fall, right?
encompassing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an artist.
You've seen my dance.
Check out my fashionable
Please
wig.
don't.
It's about time
Please
that
don't.
somebody
Highly.
retag that on the community page.
Highly fashionable here.
Yes.
These rulers and governors, supreme and subordinate of the ancient lodge, are to be obeyed in their respective stations by all brethren, according to the old charges and regulations, with all humility, reverence, love, and alacrity.
What the hell's alacrity? Is that something you buy, like, put on a deck or something.
Don't you you mix it with water and you lay footings? Yeah. Wait, isn't that the company you work for?
No. That's like an anagram, though. If you rearrange those letters, it's like the name of the company I work for. But alacrity, I believe, is like reverence, worthy of respect, I think, or something. I don't know. I'm probably wrong on
I
that.
say it goes along the lines of humility, reverence.
Reverence, love, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. We kind of do that, too.
Yeah, so basically, if somebody... There's all these rules to get to that position, but once you get to that position, everybody should kind of respect and obey because, well, essentially, here, you voted for him. Yeah. Right?
I don't know if I've talked about it. Like, people say, like, oh, Freemasonry's set up like a dictatorship. No, it's not.
It's actually very democratic.
It's
in its work.
Representative democracy, really.
Nuts. I mean, dictatorship is a dictator for life. That's dictatorship.
Yeah, you can't have that after with a 1-year term.
1-year term, yeah, right. 5 of management of the craft in working.
Oh, I have to.
Yeah, you're the only one with the old English accent.
It's not even an accent. I'm just
Sounds
reading,
more like
dude.
The Pepperidge Farm guy.
Yeah.
I know you're slowly getting away from it.
All
Tom's
Masons.
remember.
It's kind of pissing me off. He's getting away from the freaking.
All right. All Masons shall work honestly on working days, that they may live creditably on holy days. And that's today. And the time appointed by the law of the land or confirmed by custom shall be observed. The most expert of the fellow craftsmen shall be chosen or appointed the master or overseer of the Lord's work, who is to be called master by those who work under him. The craftsmen are to avoid all ill language and to call each other by no disobliging name, George, but brother or fellow, and to behave themselves courteously within and without the lodge.
I mean, it's pretty much saying, you call a Mason brother. You don't call him, hey, asshole. Like, you don't do that.
We've kind of gotten away from that.
Yeah.
No, we call each other brothers.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't.
Informal
Brother
settings.
asshole.
Brother asshole.
Great. I'm surrounded by assholes. Keep firing assholes. Baseballs. Go ahead.
The master, knowing himself to be able of cunning, shall undertake the Lord's work as reasonably as possible, and truly dispend his goods as if they were his own, nor to give more wages to any brother or apprentice than he really may deserve. So basically, be a egalitarian, fair leader, I think, is what we're getting from there.
What's it?
And be responsible with your money, right? Treat the lodge's money like it's your own, which is pretty standard.
And that's interesting that they're talking about give more wages, capital W, wages. So, and don't give more wages to one than the other. What are I wonder if they actually mean, like, literal wages.
I think they're talking more like figurative,
ones.
like show no preference to one brother over the other.
Oh,
Treat them all
okay.
equally.
All right, yeah, I wasn't thinking that.
Yeah, that's how I read it.
All right.
Both the master and the masons receiving their wages justly shall be faithful to the Lord and honestly finish their work, whether task or journey, nor put the work to task that hath been accustomed to journey.
Which journey?
Having difficulty with that one.
Honestly finishing their work, whether task or journey. Task. Obviously, we know what task is. Task is going to be,
Journey is more like a long-term thing, like self-improvement or whatever. So basically, don't dilly-dally. Don't leave things unfinished.
Okay. All right.
I guess.
All right.
Yeah, and I said, and nor put the work to task that has been accustomed to journey. So I take that as it's not a check the box. If it's something that's part of the journey,
Good point.
don't just consider it a task and check it off and be done with it. If it's supposed to be a journey, continue on that journey.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
So it's like Morningstar's car show. If you're in charge of writing up the flyers. Yeah, I did my flyers. I'm good. I'm gonna go back to playing Xbox now. You know what I mean? Because you're helping out. It's a whole process.
Yeah.
It's not just one thing to do. Okay. All right. I see.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or even if you take it from the standpoint of your degrees and your obligations, it's not, I took it one time and now it doesn't apply. It's like, no, that's not a task. That piece is a journey. It's a way of living.
Yep.
And you must continue it.
You can't just forget about your obligations.
Got it.
None shall discover envy at the prosperity of a brother, nor supplant him or put him out of his work, if he be capable to finish the same. For no man can finish another's work, so much the Lord's prophet, unless he be thoroughly acquainted with the design and drafts of him that began it.
Boy, somebody should read that a couple fucking times over.
So you can't really take somebody, or I don't know if it's talking about taking credit from somebody, but you can't complete somebody else's work if you don't know the designs of it, right?
Oh,
So-
I was talking more about the envy of the prosperity of a brother. I mean, I can't tell you how many freaking times somebody doesn't get elected in lodge and somebody else does, and they're pissed off at that brother because he got it and you didn't. Like, that shit infuriates me. You know, be happy that somebody else got it. You know?
Oh, I see. Yeah. So, yeah, you can't be like, well, he, I don't know.
You know, or supplant, meaning like put him on basically try to get him kicked out so that you can take over.
Yeah, take his job away from him.
Usurper,
because
if you will. Yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yep, it's.
And I noticed they've been using fellow craftsmen more often. Have you noticed
Yeah,
that?
I think these are all
They went from
interchangeable
fellows to fellow craftsmen.
The other thing that I'm noticing here is because it's the ancient charges, and this is the way Freemasonry was set up once upon a time, is you have an apprentice, you have your fellow, and then master is referring to the master of the lodge.
Yeah.
There was not a master mason degree at that time. Master was the title associated with the master of the lodge. But the majority of your brethren, like there were 2 degrees then, and they would do the entered apprentice degree and then their fellow craft degree.
And you went from
So
fellow
fellows are lodge members.
Yes.
Like that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
and fellows went to wardens and then to master. Because if you look back up on the top here, at the top of number 4, it says of masters, wardens, fellows, and apprentices. Which means if you're reading it in reverse, it's apprentices, fellows, wardens, then masters.
Right.
So it's a little different. Interesting.
So when a fellow craftsman is chosen warden of the work under the master, he shall be true both to master and fellows, shall carefully oversee the work in the master's absence to the Lord's prophet, and his brethren shall obey him. So I think that's pretty standard.
Yep.
I mean, you as a warden, whether junior or senior, are expected to take over the lodge in the absence of the master, right?
Correct.
So
Yep.
same kind of deal. And the fellow craftsman here is, they're referring to just standard lodge members. You're a fellow craft, you're a mason, a member of the lodge. A younger brother shall be instructed in working to prevent spoiling the materials for want of judgment, and for increasing and continuing of brotherly love. All the tools used in working shall be approved by the Grand Lodge. No laborer shall be employed in the proper work of masonry, nor shall Freemasons work with those that are not free without an urgent necessity, nor shall they teach laborers and unaccepted masons as they should teach a brother or fellow.
Don't share the secrets.
Talking about secrecy there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
When I first read it, it kind of looked like you can't take a job as an actual stonemason.
That's what I thought it was
Freemason,
too. I
but
got to
don't
read
know.
that twice.
That seems a little facile, though.
Yeah. Let's do 6 of behavior in lodge when constituted.
This one has like 6 parts.
There's a lot here. You are not to hold private committees or separate conversation without leave from the master, nor to talk of anything impertinent or unseemly, nor interrupt the master or wardens or any brother speaking to the master, nor behave yourself ludicrously or jestingly while the lodge is engaged in what is serious and solemn, nor use any unbecoming language upon any presence whatsoever, but to pay due reverence to your master, wardens, and fellows, and put them to worship. If any complaint be brought, the brother found guilty shall stand to the award and determination of the lodge, who are the proper and competent judges of all such controversies, in parentheses, unless you carry it by appeal to the Grand Lodge, which I don't think you can do according to our
I don't think
rules
you can
and
either.
regs right now. Like it's the lodge has...
The lodge has
Well,
jurisdiction
yeah.
unless the master asks the Grand Lodge for assistance.
Okay.
Then the Grand Lodge will step in and assist. But
But the brother can't appeal to the
Correct.
Grand Lodge. The master has to do that.
Yep.
Interesting. And to whom they ought to be referred unless a lord's work be hindered the meanwhile, in which case a particular reference may be made. But you must never go to law about what concerneth masonry without an absolute necessity apparent to the lodge. So you can't go to a civil magistrate and be like, this guy talked nasty about me in lodge.
Yeah, you can't go to like your local PD in modern times and say, this guy, said bad words about me. You can't do that in these times.
It's Masonry's business. Keep it within the confines of the lodge.
See, this is what I'm looking forward to getting into. Behavior after the lodge is over and the brethren not gone.
You may enjoy yourself with innocent mirth, and we do. Treating one another according to the ability, but avoiding all excess or forcing any brother to eat or drink beyond his inclination, or hindering him from going when his occasions call him, or doing or saying anything offensive, or that may forbid an easy and free conversation, for that would blast our harmony and defeat our laudable purposes. All right. Therefore, no private piques or quarrels must be brought within the doors of the lodge, far less any quarrels about religion or nations or state policy. We being only as Masons of the Catholic religion above mentioned, we are also of all nations, tongues, kindreds, and languages, and are resolved against all politics, as what never yet conducted to the welfare of the lodge, nor ever will. This charge has been always strictly enjoined and observed, but especially ever since the Reformation in Britain, or the descent and secession of these nations from the communion of Rome.
That's interesting. Because it basically talks about religion and politics right off the cuff. I mean, that's still in our thing. That's still a thing. You don't talk about religion or politics.
Yeah, and you're still in lodge, but the brothers aren't gone, right? So this is like after a lodge meeting. These are the directives for that, right? So you're still not supposed to be talking about politics or religion, even when you're downstairs in the common room.
Right. And what was the other part that I was looking at here? It's funny that they threw in Catholic religion. That threw me for a loop. It says it right there. We being only as Masons of the Catholic religion above mentioned. Interesting.
Yeah,
that's definitely not in our shit no more. That's definitely taken out. Because we don't.
They might be saying like the guy, it's Ben Franklin who wrote this. He was Catholic, and maybe some of the other contemporaries in the lodge at the time were Catholic, but I think he also acknowledges the fact that they're from all nations, tongues, kindreds, and languages.
And keep in mind,
so, even if you're all the same religion, you still shouldn't be talking about it.
They also keep throwing in the Lord too. That they drop the Lord's work multiple times.
And I think that you're probably looking at still being somewhat a pretty big division in Britain at the time between the Protestants and the Catholics. Yeah. So that was probably a major quarrel of the time. And I think they're pretty much saying, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're not going to get into that, especially with that last line where it says, especially ever since the Reformation in Britain. I'm assuming they're referring to the Protestant Reformation.
Yep.
So, especially since then, we're not going to talk about this.
3, behavior when brethren meet without strangers, but not in lodge formed. So basically, downstairs at Jimmy's.
Yep. So downstairs at Jimmy's, you are to salute one another in a courteous manner, as you will be instructed, calling each brother, freely giving mutual instruction as shall be thought expedient, without being overseen or overheard, and without encroaching upon each other, or derogating. It's because it's split between 2 pages. Derogating from that respect which is due to any brother, were he not a Mason. For though all Masons are as brethren upon the same level, yet Masonry takes no honor from a man that he had before. Nay, rather, it adds to his honor, especially if he has deserved well of the brotherhood, who must give honor to whom it is due, and avoid all ill manners.
Okay. So if the mayor is a Mason and he walks into Jimmy's, you can't be like, F you, you're not the mayor in here, God damn it. Like, you have to give him his...
Still treat him with respect.
Treat him with respect as a brother and for what his station is outside the lodge.
Yep. And if you're giving instruction, so if you're talking about ritual aspects or something like that, you have to do it as shall be thought expedient without being overseen or overheard. So obviously keep the secret. If you're down in the pub after and you're trying to tell somebody how they should be walking or speaking or whatever during ritual or whatever.
4, behavior in the presence of strangers not Masons.
All right. You shall be cautious in your words and carriage, that the most penetrating stranger shall not be able to discover or find out what is not proper to be intimated. And sometimes you shall divert a discourse and manage it prudently for the honor of the worshipful fraternity.
That's pretty self-explanatory.
And that's still in our
Yep.
charges today.
I mean, we really don't need to really get into that one. 5.
Yeah, maintain the dignity, right?
Behavior at home and in your neighborhood.
All right, you are to act as becomes a moral and wise man, particularly not let your family, friends, and neighbors know the concerns of the lodge, but wisely to consult your own honor and that of the ancient brotherhood for reasons not to be mentioned here. You must also consult your health, but not continuing together too late or too long from home after lodge hours are past, and by avoiding of gluttony or drunkenness, that your families be not neglected or injured, nor you disabled from working.
This is probably a tough one.
So don't get hung
Don't get
over.
all banged up
Yeah.
and then go home. Be aware of your health, your age, your conditions, because you have a responsibility to the community and your family to earn wages and support them. So don't put yourself in a position where you won't be able to do that.
Yeah.
Don't wake up in the morning and your Ford's parked on your front lawn, basically.
Yeah, and don't air the lodge's dirty laundry with non-Masons.
Yes.
And it even says your family, friends, or neighbors. So it flat out says, like, don't go home and bitch your old lady.
Yeah, about something that happened.
That
in
son
lodge.
of a bitch Joe tried swindling and taking over the chili cook-off and said that.
Babe, let me tell you what Mester did tonight.
Yeah, don't do that. Last one, big one, and then we'll finish it off. 6, behavior towards a strange brother.
You are cautiously to examine him, in such a method as prudence shall direct you, that you may not be imposed upon by an ignorant false pretender, whom you are to reject with contempt and derision. Now that's a little bit counter to what we say, right?
Well, if he's trying to falsely work his way in, I think we could show some contempt.
Deride him a little bit.
Trying to-
That's true. It's not like he's making fun of the fraternity, right? Those who through ignorance may ridicule it. These guys are trying to like.
They're
be
trying to get
one
in
of
to see what
us.
the hell we're doing.
Exactly. So I would, I
We
throw
had
a little
one.
contempt their way.
And we had one once too. And beware of giving him any hints of knowledge. But if you discover him to be a true and genuine brother, you are to respect him accordingly. And if he is in want, you must relieve him if you can, or else direct him how he may be relieved. You must employ him some days, or else recommend him to be employed. But you are not charged to do beyond your ability, only to prefer a poor brother that is a good man and true before any other poor people in the same circumstances. But most especially a brother, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally, all these charges you are to observe, and also those that shall be communicated to you in another way, cultivating brotherly love, the foundation and capstone, the cement of glory of this ancient fraternity, avoiding all wrangling and quarreling, all slander and backbiting, nor permitting others to slander any honest brother. I should be better about that, because you guys be slandering over here. But defending his character and doing him all good offices as far as is consistent with your honor and safety, and no farther. And if any of them do you injury, you must apply to your own or his lodge, and from thence you may appeal to the Grand Lodge at the quarterly communication.
Quarterly.
And from thence to the annual Grand Lodge, as has been the ancient laudable conduct of our forefathers in every nation, never taking a legal course, but when the case cannot be otherwise decided, and patiently listening to the honest and friendly advice of master and fellows, when they would prevent your going to law with strangers, or would excite you to put a speedy period to all lawsuits, that you may mind the affair of masonry with the more alacrity and success, but with respect to brothers, fellows at law, the master and the brethren should kindly offer their mediation, which ought to be thankfully submitted to by the contending brethren. And if that submission is impracticable, they must, however, carry on the process of lawsuit without wrath or rancor, in parentheses, not in the common way, saying or doing nothing which may hinder brotherly love and good offices to be renewed and continued, that all may see the benign influence of masonry, as all true Masons have done from the beginning of the world, and will do so until the end of time. Amen, so mote it be.
So mote it be.
So mote it be. Interesting. It's so cool to like see how it originally was written, and then you compare it to what it is now, and it's like, wow, like they changed a couple things for the most part. I mean, the charges still remain.
Yeah.
It's nothing too different. Slight wording differences, slight things they took out.
Threw a couple things down in the rules and regs that changed some of this, right? You can't appeal to Grand Lodge for every little thing anymore.
Yeah.
Other than that.
As for a stranger or a strange brother, yeah, we had one here. He came in from out of state, said he was from out of state, but he didn't know any of the grips of words and all that stuff, so we had to be very careful about what we said around him, and then sure as shit, he didn't come back again. When we conducted our business, we made him leave the room, and then he was allowed to come back in. And, I mean, he never came back because we challenged him. We told him, basically, you can't come back unless you can prove, where you're from. And realistically, he did it wrong anyway, because if he wanted to visit a lodge out of state, he should have reached out to the Grand Secretary and did it that way. So, we made him take the Tyler's Oath, which is still a thing. We'll have to cover that one day, too. That'd be a good one, the Tyler's Oath. Mm-hmm. Basically swearing that you're a Mason and you're not a bullshit artist. But, yeah, pretty interesting. What do you guys think?
Was that guy, without getting into detail, was that the guy from Washington, allegedly, or something?
That one. Okay.
That guy. Was that the one you were talking about, George, or was this a different guy?
No, this was a different guy. This was a guy who was from Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
Those assholes.
There's another guy that's floating around.
Like recently.
Oh,
Yeah.
recently?
This communication came out about that. I remember
this
seeing
year.
that. Yeah.
No, this is back in the day. So what is the guy? Is he full of shit?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's not a Mason.
He's not a Mason. He's just trying to bust in.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's, yeah.
Wait, Washington or Washington State?
I think he said it was like Washington State, like somewhere.
He picked somewhere like
I think he just
far
picked somewhere
away
random,
in a different time zone so that it would be harder.
Like we don't have
to-
telephones and can't call their Grand Lodge.
Right. But yeah, he's shown up in a few places trying to
Really?
get it. Yeah, they actually sent out an email with his picture. And
Appendant bodies, too, not just Blue Lodges.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So stay frosty out there, brothers.
Yeah, keep
These
your eye
things
out for
do
that shit.
happen.
guard the West Gate.
Yep.
Other than that, I think this was a pretty good episode. Nothing else I got to add unless you guys do.
Still trying to be summed up in.
One of our fans said the wig is sexy as F, so I will take that.
Well,
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, take it home. See.
It's a sacrifice because the little strands of hair are going in my eyes.
No, it looks like somebody
Kinda itchy.
sacrificed an animal on your head. It's a sacrifice.
Needs a little style change.
Yeah.
Updated.
But anyway,
Cool.
I got nothing else.
Still, most of those I can boil down to my 2 rules.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can. Mm-hmm.
So, which again, for those listening at home, are don't be an asshole. Mind your business.
Yep. Words
Sounds
to live by.
What do you say, brothers? May go enjoy the rest of this cloudy Sunday,
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
crappy day.
Why not?
All right, and for the Freemasons podcast, I am Right Worshipful George Mudry signing off. Thank you for listening.
Worshipful Brother Joe signing off.
And worshipful brother Ken.
Oh, God.
Signing off.
We need like Masterpiece Theater.
It's the best I can do.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Goodbye,
Peace.
everybody.